Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're gonna talk about a tool that I saw on Twitter. It looked really nice. It's actually a plugin for Blender that would allow you to get a head mesh with textures to use with Mesh to Metahuman. So kind of like the same thing that we did last time with the scanning, but instead of scanning our faces with the phone, you're just gonna do it from pictures. And I think this is very cool because that way you don't have to have a scan. Let's say it's somebody that's somewhere else that doesn't know how to scan. It's not gonna bother doing it. Taking some pictures, it's a lot easier. Or even some pictures that you see online, you may want to use those as well. Now, at the end of this video, we're going to be comparing the results from this tool to the results that we got from the scan from last time from the video. It's gonna be in the description down below if you're new to the scan thing with Mesh to Metahuman. I'm going to be comparing the results that I got back then with the one that I'm getting right now. The difference being is that this is providing me a texture that I can use on top of the Metahuman UVs. If you're not a 3D artist, let's just say that the color of the face from their pictures can be transferred into the Metahuman as opposed to using the textures that the Metahuman creator gives you, which I think could be an advantage. Kind of experimenting with this tool in this video. I didn't script it too much, so you see me make a couple mistakes here and there, which is fine. I actually did it, so if I made a mistake and I could correct it, I'll correct it with you. So let's get started. All right, here we are in Blender, and to install this, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below so you can check out their video. It is very comprehensive on how to install this. But just real quick, if you've installed any Blender plugin so far, you would be able to start this one as well. Just go here on install and look for it, and just to download, it should be very straightforward. But if you're having trouble with that, I'll leave a link in the description down below on how to install it. Again, their tutorial is very good on how to install it for Blender. Once you have it installed, all you have to do is open a regular project, and it should be here on your right panel. Is this one right here, Face Builder, and as you can see, Face Builder 2022.2. You can also create a new head. So we click on Create New Head. Now it gives us a very nice looking base mesh. So if I was sculpting from this base mesh, I'll be very happy because it's really good. And if you look at the topology for this one is amazing. So this is one of the base mesh that I've ever seen. And this is from where the program is going to pick up from the pictures and get all your details. Once we have this, now you need to add your images. So we click here and add images. I'm gonna browse to where my images are. And in this case, I'm going to select the images with the 17 because I know those are the most recent ones that I took. I'm gonna talk about what you need to do with the pictures that you need to take of yourself. I'm gonna open my images and you can see them all here. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. 7 is the images that they recommend. So the images that you're going to take of yourselves is fully front, and not this one, fully front, profile, one from above, 3/4, profile, one from the bottom, and another profile. So I guess this one is 3/4, a little bit more of a profile, but that's fine. The whole point is that you have every single angle possible from your head so you can get the texture. I was just gonna follow this prompt that says press a view button with a picture file name below. So you can switch to pin mode. Pin mode is going to give you a camera with the picture behind it, and you're gonna see in a minute. By the way, if you never use Blender, navigation is right mouse to scroll around like this. And if you hold shift and, middle mouse, that was middle mouse. If you hold shift and middle mouse, you'll do pan. The panning is what you'll be doing when you are in pin mode. So if I go to the first image, myself, If I try to just use middle mouse, it's going to do that because it's on pin mode. It's not allowing me to get out of this mode. We'll talk about how to get out of here later, but the good thing is that it keeps you right here. And here on the bottom, it's actually telling you what it does. Is if you want to escape, if you want to press escape, you'll exit, left click to create a pin, right click to delete a pin, tab to hide and show. So tab is just hide and show the mesh. There you go. And now we're going to look at one of the best things about this app is the align to face. So if we click on align to face, you're going to see that the mesh actually, I think they're using some sort of AI, but actually goes on top of my face with this picture, and it does pretty well. It's pretty close. There are some things here and there that we need to fix, but it is really close right out of the box. So I'm just gonna go here and arrange a little bit. And yeah, let me show you. If you click on this red pin, you're gonna move the geometry. So if you've been to the Metahuman creator, this is exactly when you are in sculpt mode. Remember that it gives you those pins on top of your face, on top of the Metahuman face, sorry. You get these pins here as well. The difference is in here, you can add as many pins as you want to. So these 4 pins are fine for my eyes. I'm just going to bring my eyes all the way to where I think they should be, and that's fine. So let's say we want to move this down here, and I want to stretch out the forehead because I do have a big forehead. So I just add a pin here, and as you can see, I can expand this part of my head. Add another pin here. Let's bring down this side over here. I'm not super worried about the ear, but I want to add a pin here, and I'm going to encompass this part. Again, you can add pins, and you can remove pins as well. Just right click and removes a pin. So just click there. And as you can see, the lips are a little bit offsetted. I just want them to bring them down. I think here is fine. Everything else is okay. Let me just mess a little bit with the neck. And there you go. Okay. This is very close to my face. I think I missed my nose around here. It's a little bit larger. Let's extend that. Make sure that it's capturing every single part of my face. All right. Okay, I think we are done with this one. Let's go to the next picture. And I'm just gonna go to the profile because that's one of the ones that's different. So over here, you're gonna see that this mesh is pretty much facing forward, and I'm facing to the right. So if I click on align face, you're gonna see that it actually rotates the mesh. So that's why I think this plugin is so fantastic, because there's not that much job that you have to do aligning things. It does it for you pretty much right out of the box. So you just have to add a couple of pins here and there just to make sure that everything is where you wanted it to be. So again, I'm just gonna push my nose all the way down here, and you can see that I have a weird bridge here. I have a bump on my nose, so let's create that. I'm gonna add a pin here. It's gonna bring that up, another pin here. It's going to help me create that bump. That. And yeah, very important to have most landmarks of your face. I'm just gonna bring this back over here. Put this eye is not where it's supposed to be. I'm just gonna bring it up. And again, it's not perfect. It needs work from you, but I think it's fine. It does a pretty good job right out of the bat, and all you have to do is just add a little bit more pins, and you should be good to go. There you go. And I think I need another pin right around here, so I can bend that over. I think we're good, except for the ear. Let's bring the ear all the way over here. And where is the head is ending here? Okay, I think, because I don't have that much hair anymore. So just bring my head around this way. Okay, I think that's good. Let's do another one. 3/4 view. All right. 3/4 view, pretty good. You get the gist by now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to time lapse the other pictures, and you can choose to slow down or not if you want to see what I'm doing. But it's pretty much just align face, it'll align the mesh to the picture, move the points, and until you get as close as possible to what you have here on your picture. So I'll see you in a bit. All right, as you can see, all of my pictures have a pin. I've gone through all of them, and the modifications that you do to other pictures will most likely move what you've already done previously. So you can always go back and see if there is something that got moved that you didn't like, or you want it back to where it was. Fortunately, some of the movement that I did after I switched to other pictures did not affect my other segments as much, but that's something that can happen because I've seen it in other videos. Just gonna put my head that way. But this, to me, the front view is probably the most important. I'm just gonna undo that. I don't mind the ears that much because they are not the biggest landmark of my face. There is a little bit over here. I guess I need to correct, bring it over to this side. There you go. You see how I just removed the pin that was there before. So yeah, to me, the most important one is the front one. Probably for you, it could be another type of picture, but again, I'm just going to check them all, see how they're looking. And I'm very happy about how this is looking now. So what I need to do is go on exit pin mode. If you click here, it'll actually take you to your mesh. And again, you see that it's like I've sculpted my face a little bit. It's not the prettiest one. However, one of the good things about this is that we're going to translate this into the mesh to Metahuman. So there is some work there. If you know ZBrush or if you can sculpt in Blender, you can come and smooth these out. I believe my landmarks are already well demarked. So if I were to go and send this to ZBrush, I'll probably smooth these parts out a little bit. But I'm just going to leave it as it is so you can see the result as right out of the box without anything, any other retouching. Now, up until this point, we have done pretty much the same thing that I've done with the scanning tool that I did last time, so it's not that different. However, the most different part is going to come right now. So if you scroll down over here to the right, you can see there is a word that says textures. It also has blend shapes. I don't know how these works. I'm not going to use them because we're going to be using the blend shapes from the Metahumans, but apparently you can create blend shapes with this as well, which I think is cool. But all you're going to do is click here on texture. We're going to bring this to 4096 by 4096, and we go to Metahuman. So you can see that if you click on the UVs, it's how it's gonna unwrap your face. And I'm going to tell it to do Metahumans because that is going to be the exact texture of the Metahuman that we're gonna get out of Metahuman Creator later on to overlay it and get the actual texture of my face. Now for this, you can see there's the create texture button. So we click here. We have all the images that I load. You can pick and choose which images you wanted to use. You may not want to use all your images. In my case, I'm just going to use them all. I'm going to click OK. And it's just going to load for a little bit. You can see there's some number going on. I'll be right back once this is done. All right, now as you can see, it created a decent texture of my face. So one of the things that they told me is every picture angle that I mentioned is because of the texture. If you didn't have the picture from the bottom, it would have not picked up the bottom of my face. Same here with the top. So the reason why it picked up the most important sides of my face for the UVs, it's what I was after. So there's a little bit here under the eye. I don't care so much about the eyes because we're gonna use a Metahuman eye, so I'm not worried about that. There's a little bit of overlap here on my lips. I'm guessing a couple pictures got overlap here because they are not perfect. Maybe the lighting wasn't the best. But the good thing is that we have pretty much the main textures of my face. And I guess another part of this tip is if you have a beard, it's gonna be on your texture. That's why I actually shaved my face before doing this, just so I can get a more clean texture. There's a little bit of hair here that we'll probably need to take care of, but for the most part, it is pretty good. So once we have this, all we need to do is export it out. Just select your head, which is over here, FB head, and we're going to go into File. We're going to export, and where it says export FBX, in this case, it's going to export whatever you selected. So I'm just going to throw it here. I'll give it my name. And over here, the changes that you need to do is where it says path mode, we're going to click here and we're going to select copy and we're going to click this little box. What this does is it will pack the texture along with the FBX. So that way, when you import it into Unreal, it will bring the textures. Now, I don't need any of this, so I'm just going to click on mesh because we don't need like camera, lamp, amateur, whatever. We are going to come down here and uncheck bake animation. On geometry, the other important part is where it says smoothing in normals only. You're going to change that to face. And that is it. We're just going to export FBX, give it a second, and it should be good to go on your folder. Now what I'm going to do is open Unreal, bring everything, and we'll continue from there. All right, so as you can see, I've imported the FBX and it came with the material and texture. So I double click my mesh and you can see it's just normal mesh. It doesn't have too much to it. This doesn't have any normal map or anything. It's just a mesh with diffuse. So with this, we are going to be using the mesh to Metahuman to create my actual head. Now, if you have never done the mesh to Metahuman, I'm going to leave a link in the description down below in how to scan your head for free. There are chapters that you can follow. Just choose the chapter where I talk about the Metahuman mesh to Metahuman tool. So you can go from there if you are brand new to this process, because I'm just gonna breeze through it Otherwise this video is going to be too long. It will tell you how to do the plugin and everything else. So I'm just going to type my name here, and we're going to add my face. My face is called the same as the channel. Okay, there is, and actually it looks pretty nice. We're going to pick the neutral pose, and I'm going to position my camera in a way where I can see myself head on. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go 25. Let's see. I guess instead of going 25, I'm actually going to go 30. So it's not as jarring. There you go. Now what we're gonna do here, promote frame, track active frame. It's loading trackers and it's gonna take a little bit. I'll be back when it's done. All right, it's done, and it was done actually pretty quickly. So let's get over here just to make sure that it picked up everything that I wanted to pick up. So let's see, this should be here. This should be a little bit further up. And you could leave it as it is. It wasn't bad. It did a pretty good tracking, if I'm honest. But I like it to be as close as possible, so that's why I'm just doing little motions here and there, just so it's closer to my face. There you go. You can even do the ears and the eyebrows if you wanted to. I don't think that's necessary for this case. Just gonna close the mouth a little bit. Lips are good, everything is good. Okay, I am happy with what I see. I'm just going to click to Metahuman Identity Solve. All right, since looks like it was done, let's see what it did. If we go to B, there is my head, and actually it looks pretty good. It does have a few bits of imperfection from the main mesh. Oh, the ear is a little bit squished on this side, but it doesn't matter. We'll fix it once we are in the Metahuman Creator. That's one of the things that I like about the Metahuman Creator. If things didn't turn out perfect, we can fix them afterwards. Same thing over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna go and select the body. I'm going to select tall and athletic because of course, why not? And I'm going to click on mesh to Metahuman. All right, here we are in Metahuman Creator, and again, that ear is squished, but I'm just going to edit selected. I'm gonna go to custom mesh, and I'm going to do, let's stop this animation. Let's do this, and there you go. So the ear is kind of in a good position. So again, I usually don't mind my ears too much. Let's say they're not perfectly symmetrical, but hey, who is symmetrical nowadays? So I'm just gonna go and reshape my skull, which are the parts that are not too well. Like around here, it's not very symmetrical as well. There's some little problems here and there, just taking care of them. Over here, the chin, I'm going to leave it alone. It does look like I'm a little bit more overweight than I'm actually at, but it doesn't matter. Everything else is good. I'm good with the eye proportion. I'm gonna leave everything else as it is. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave everything else as it is. Now we're gonna go to skin. This is the part where I'm not that happy with the Metahuman Creator, because every time you assign skin, you kind of look like you look very stylized. That's what I'm trying to say. Every time you try to add a little bit of skin, you look very stylized. I think that's closer to my shade, a mixed race, so that's fine. And you can play with this however you want, but we're not gonna use this texture. We're actually going to be using the texture that we got from the app. And let me see, contrast, roughness. Okay, yeah, I do have a very oily skin. Let's go with the hair. Yeah, kind of like a buzz cut. Let me see, what kind of hair would I like to have? Not the one that I actually have. All right, okay, let's pick this up because it kind of looks like the haircut that I had in my 20s. Not in my 20s anymore. Let's go to the eyebrows. This is closer. Let's see. This is closer to mine. There you go. And I think this is getting me much closer to my actual look. Like, even without the textures that we're going to get later on from the plugin, I think this from the pictures it's starting to look a little bit more realistic than the scan. There's a little bit here on my lip that I could fix, so let's just fix that like that. Actually go here, and that's why I like the Metahuman Creator so much. Okay, so the lips are not like super weird in terms of, yeah, like this. It's just subtle details. And again, your face is never symmetrical. If you have symmetrical face, then you may be a robot. Just saying. All right, there it is. Okay, I think I'm good. Eyes placement. I actually have. This is so weird. I do have a kind of like a lazy eye on my left eye, and it actually captured it. So this is much closer to real life than. I mean, let's not be clean shaven. Let's do this. Kind of like, you know, it's been a little bit. It's been a rough week. You know, I forgot to shave, and I'm just gonna leave it there. And we're gonna continue with, let's say, body proportions. Again, very ripped myself. I wish I looked like that, but I don't. Doesn't matter. It is a fantasy world. That's why we call it a digital world. Let me just give me a regular shirt. This is the one where I like to post the MR3D Dev graphics. I'm just going to give myself a graphic there so I can substitute it for my logo later on. Let's change the colors of this. A little bit darker. More of a fan of a darker colors. I don't like the green so much. I'm just going to desaturate. And if you just want to have the same color, just copy the hex value. That way you don't have two colors, just have the one. There you go. We have one color shirt, and I do need to wear some pants. I like to wear shorts, so jeans is fine, and shoes. Let me give myself some, yeah, those looks like my sneakers. Okay, so yeah, this guy looks a lot like me, except for I may not be, you know, as athletic looking, but my face does look much closer to myself than what it was before, and it's gonna look even better once we apply the texture. So from here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back. I'm going to go into Unreal Engine. Okay, now I have downloaded my Metahuman as usual. After you've done all the Metahuman mesh to Metahuman work inside the Metahuman creator, your Metahuman should show up here. Should no longer have this symbol, which I think is a Metahuman logo. It should be here. So here he is, or here am I should say. And now we get to the second part of this whole process, which is, again, one of the reasons why I like this plugin so much is because we can actually use the texture. Now for this, I'm just gonna go into my Metahuman, because the first thing we need is the Metahuman texture. So in order to get that, all you have to do is make sure you go to the Metahuman blueprint, go to the face, and we need the element 0, the material that's called MI Head Synthesized Baked, which is pretty much the face skin. And then we go all the way down here, and you can see we have different colors. We have color main, CM1, 2, and 3. They just contain different wrinkling, because there's texture animation when you do the blend shapes. So I'm just gonna click on the magnifying glass. It's gonna take me straight to where this is, and I'm going to export out the main. I'm gonna click here, asset actions, export. All right, when exporting, I'm just gonna throw it in here. I'm gonna call it face main, just so I know what it is. I'm gonna save it in there. It saves it as a TGA. So for this process, you're gonna need either Photoshop or GIMP if you don't want to pay for Photoshop. But you are going to need something that opens TGA and something where you can blend things with. Now I'm gonna go into my MR3D folder where I have my texture. This is my texture. It looks a little bit weird, but this is what we're going to be using to add more realism to our Metahuman. So I'm just going to, as a location, export. I'm going to export it here. And I'm going to call it face builder. All right, now for the texturing portion. As you see, I exported the face from the texture of my avatar that was created with Face Builder. And here's the one with the Metahuman. Now, I made a mistake and did a 4K. I forgot the Metahuman one was in 2K. So if you are in Photoshop, just go to image size, just change it to 2048. You should be fine. The point is that we can grab this and put it right on top of this one right here, which actually can. So if you can see, if I turn down the opacity, you can see that it actually occupies the same space as the UVs from the Metahuman. Now there are some changes that we're gonna do here real quick, but yeah, just to show you that it actually fits. So once you have this on there, the first thing we need to do is get rid of the black areas. We're also going to get rid of the eyes and other parts of my hair, which we don't need. For that, I'm gonna use a mask. That is how I usually work in Photoshop. That's how I was taught. Instead of erasing things, just mask things out. So it's just better. So there you go. I'm gonna do some masks here. And we're gonna get rid of the eyes because we're gonna use the Metahuman eyes. And as you can see, the border of the head ends here. So you can tell just when you're going to be done stretching this out, because we are going to have to stretch this out, and I'll show you a cool way to do it. Now I'm just gonna get rid of these parts right here, and I'm gonna get rid of my shirt, of course, because we don't want that to show. Although from this point beyond, like from this point below, is pretty much that area that's under the neck and the Metahuman. So if it's a Metahuman that's wearing clothes, you're probably not gonna see it anyways, but you should. I'm just gonna get rid of it. I'm also going to get rid of this black spot. So just pretty much do this. Get rid of everything over here. And we're gonna fill this out with the clone tool in a second. And you get the gist of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna time lapse this and I'll be right back. All right, so there's that. Have a nice mask on it. Another thing that we need to fix is a couple of areas with shadows, like this part under my chin, this part that has a lot of different colors than this part. So I'm not gonna fix the eyebrows because we're going to have the eyebrows groom on top of them, and I've already tested this a couple of times. These actually don't have any problems if you have very dense eyebrows like I do. If you do have eyebrows that are not as dense, it may be a problem, but for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. For the other parts, we're just gonna use the clone tool in this case to kind of like get rid of that very thick shadow that we have over there. So make sure you are on your image if you're working in Photoshop, and there you go. A little bit better. Now let's fix this nose. fix this part over here. Okay, now the portion that's really important is getting rid of this bad coloring that we have on the other side before we finish with this texture. So I'm just gonna go here and do this. Probably should, there you go, it's in the center. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy this layer. I'm going to apply mask to this part. I'm going to select inverse, and we're going to do what I told you just not to do, which is erase, but we're gonna do it anyways because we just got rid of everything else, so that's fine. Now that we have this part right here on this layer, what I'm gonna do is flip it to the other side. So we go to edit, transform, flip horizontal, and there you go. Now all we have to do is grab our move tool, move this all the way to center, and there we have it. Now another thing that I need to do is I'll probably add another mask here so I can get rid of those hard edges. So we have some hard edges, let's see, around here. There you go. That we don't need those hard edges on this parts. And there you go. Pretty much got rid of the difference in coloring that we had on this side. We do have symmetry on some of the marks that I have on my face. We can get rid of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to merge these two layers. So it applies the mask, and everything else I'm just going to use the clone tool. And as you can see, it's not a big thing. Actually, yeah, the mark is on this side, not on this side. It's somewhat quick job. There you go, just so things are not super symmetrical. And I could even use the healing brush like that, just so spots are not exactly the same. There we are, this one, and there you go. Okay, all right, I think we are good. And everything else that we need to do is the other thing is I didn't apply makeup or foundation to my face, which is why my face is usually a little bit oiler, on the oiler side. So to get rid of those highlights, I'm just gonna go filter. There's a camera raw filter, which pretty much will give me the same options that I would get in Adobe After Effects for the coloring. So I'm just going to go into highlights and reduce the highlights a little bit. Same over here. I'm sorry, not lights. Looking for highlights right here. And again, nothing too fancy, just moving a couple things. Otherwise, we could just use the healing brush on these areas, and it kind of helps out. Sometimes it's not the best correction, but it does help out a little bit. Let me see, I don't know what's gonna do here. Oh, okay, there you go. It actually got rid of that. Let's see what we can do there. No, that's not good. And I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Now the next part would be to extend the texture area, which I'm gonna do with the clone tool. And again, I'm dividing this into chapters, so feel free to skip this part if you just want to see the results. Chapter is going to be in the description, and with that chapter thing that YouTube does. So I'm just going to, you already saw me using the clone tool, I'm just going to time lapse this Alright, not gonna lie, this is very bizarre seeing your face laid down like this, because it looks like, I don't know, if Leatherface just took off your skin. But this is what we're gonna use, so I'm gonna do two versions. I'm gonna do one version like this, which doesn't go so well, and I'm going to do another version with a little bit of blending here. Alright, I went into Metahuman Creator and made a lighter skin version of myself. It's never gonna be like that because the lighting condition when I took the pictures were pretty different, but just to show you that I did make some changes to the diffuse map. Now, there are a couple things that we can do to kind of blend this. So like I told before, I do have one of like this just to show you how it looks. And we're gonna do another one that's kind of like blending it a little bit. So the first thing that I may do, and always duplicate your stuff in case you mess up. I'm gonna go into image adjustment, hue and saturation, and we're going to desaturate this. And as you can see, it's a lot closer. It's not really the same, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. Anyways, I'm just gonna leave it at that, and the rest thing that I'm gonna do is just use the blend here with the opacity. And I think that's it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm going to save this one. Save as copy. This is fixed 4. All right, here I am with both of my avatars that I created. The one over here is the one that I did with scanning. So I actually, for some reason, I used the kind of like the medium size skeleton, and I used a tall one for this one. So you can differentiate them from one has the blue sleeves and the other one doesn't. This is the one that I did with the scan app, with the free app that you saw me do it last time. This is the one that I did with the new method, and you know, achieve a little bit of different result. So you already saw my face in the intro of the video. I'm gonna throw a picture of my face here just for comparison's sake. And from these two, I think this one looks more like myself, and I got it from the scan. For this one, I'm just going to use the texture that I made in Photoshop, like I told you before. So I'm just gonna go here. We all know how to do this. And I'm just gonna add first one, this one, which I don't know why it doesn't show up, but the first one that I'm gonna be adding is the one that doesn't have the blending. So I'm just gonna throw it in here, color main. And wow, it looks like I'm dead. Yeah, this is very bizarre and not good looking at all. Let's just throw in the other one. A little bit better. I'm still ghost, as white as a ghost. I'm actually a little bit pasty in the real life because I don't go too much on the sun. But yeah, as you can see, this is the full-on texture on top. Maybe I do have a lot of light on me, but again, this is the result that I got, and we can actually revert back to what I had before, just because this is way too light. That's under, I don't know, I probably need to color correct that. My thing is, I think the result from the scanning, it's a little bit closer to my actual self than this one right here. It did a fairly decent, good job right at the bat. I tried to get it with the Metahuman, and as you can see, you can use your own texture, which sometimes help. In this case, the texture didn't help as much because there was too much oil on my face when I took those pictures. Now, the Keentools are not free, whereas the app that I showed you was free. So if you go to Face Builder, you're not going to buy a floating license. You are going to either buy a commercial or a personal license. So over here you have the prices. The floating one, which I don't think any of you are gonna use. This is for a company. You just have floating license you can use on several machines. Commercial license, this is for a company, and personal license would be someone like myself, or most of you at home will get the personal license. I think this is a fair price. It's pretty robust. And if you don't have the person to scan, so let's say the value that I see for this tool or this add-on, if you will, if you have several characters on screen and you don't have access to scanning several people, then you can have more than one character by just using pictures. You could always use the metahumans and try to. My issue with the metahumans right now is, I don't know, I've used them so much and I've seen them so much on YouTube that all of the metahuman look pretty generic. So that's why from now on in my short films, you'll see people that look fairly different from the metahumans. For instance, one of the other guys that I made, the actor, if you haven't seen him on Twitter, he is the person that I made for the common short film. And again, pretty different from your average metahuman. I made this one as well, even though it looks pretty different. Like, I can tell it came from a metahuman preset, and that is my issue and why I like using the mesh to metahuman to get new characters. So if you're in that position like myself and just want to create a whole set of new characters, then you can just do it with this add-on without having to have the person to scan it, without having to sculpt a mesh. Because for the short film character, this one is from a sculpted mesh, which is why it looks a little bit different, but I think it looks much better than just your generic metahuman. And I think that was the intent of the mesh to metahuman tool, so you have a little bit more of a range. All right, everybody, before we leave, as always, thanks to everyone who's watching. Thanks to all my Patreons, and a shout out to my level 2 Patreons over here on screen. As always, thank you for helping out the channel. If you want to help out the channel, then the link is down below. There is the Twitter and the Instagram if you want to follow the updates for the short film. And if not, there's a Discord where there's a whole community, over 1,000 people that you can join. And I can help you over there if you need some help myself. I'm there myself usually during the week. All right, thanks everybody for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.